Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio with Tom and Ramon. We are recording this on January 26th of 2015. And wow, Ramon, you know what? I had some excitement today. I live here in a fairly small town. I guess we got about 30,000 people here. And
you have a horse across the street.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. 2 horses. We live in the area we call here is called the Twin Cities. We've got 2 towns. They're about the same size and just a couple miles apart. And I work in the other city from the one I live in. Well, anyways, this morning, shortly after 9 o'clock, one of the guys that works for me comes and tells me, "Hey man, the bank just got robbed. The Chase Bank just got robbed. A buddy of mine was in the bank too." That's how we found out so fast that the bank had gotten robbed. Well, so about 20 minutes later, it starts flashing on the radio. They're talking about the bank getting robbed, and I was just absolutely, totally shocked at the response of our civil authorities here on this bank robber. I mean, the guy did flash a gun, so I mean there is that. But they locked down 2 elementary schools because they were within a mile of the bank. Wow. They locked down the schools, completely locked them down. I mean, it was no, I mean, whatever that looks like. I didn't physically see it myself, but they locked down these schools, and that kind of really took me back a little bit as far as what. I don't know. I suppose err on the side of safety, I guess. I don't know. That one, it just didn't quite sit right with me. So, anyways. About an hour goes by, and maybe an hour and a half, and then there was a news clip on the radio that said that they'd caught this guy, and they caught him on the freeway riding his bicycle. So he was trying to get away riding on the freeway on his bicycle, which is illegal to do in the state of Washington. You can't ride your bike on the freeway.
So on top of robbing the bank, he's also going to get a ticket for...
He'll get a ticket for riding his bicycle on the freeway, yeah. But it's like, I mean, what a getaway vehicle, huh? Your bicycle.
Well, times are hard, Maybe that's why he was robbing the bank.
Yeah, well, gas prices have dropped. The first time, the other day was the first time, Ramon, that I have seen gas prices under $2 a gallon in, God, I don't know how long. What, 15 years? Something like that?
Since the day we had hair.
Well, no, that'd be going back a long time, though. But yeah, I was actually, I'm kind of I don't know. That's bringing out another level of optimism for me. What the Saudis are doing with the gas prices, with the oil. They're, our whole economy is kind of based on oil right now, and it costs oil to transport everything, right? So it drives the prices on so much stuff. I mean, I would have to say all of the commodities that you find in the retail stores are directly influenced by the price of oil.
The funny thing about that, Tom, that the prices of planes still haven't dropped.
I know. That is really slow to react. All the other costs and prices are so slow to react to, especially if they are going to be going down. They are extremely slow to react. But it takes before you start seeing it on the shelf in the grocery store, it'd take 5 or 6 months at these prices to actually affect the costs there, I think. Anyways, that actually has me kind of optimistic on maybe doing something and shaking up our economies in some way to I don't know, bring a magnifying glass over it and take a closer look at it, and maybe we can find some more balance. There has been, and I'll try not to go on too long here with this kind of stuff, but there has been some I guess some waves being made and some talk that's been going out there about really seriously addressing the imbalance of money on the planet. You know, that they're saying now that top 1% within the next couple of years is going to, I can't remember what the figure was. I think the top 1% is going to have more than 90% of the world's wealth in like a couple of years. Right now, they're over, that top 1% has over 50% of the world's wealth.
Wow.
So that's kind of really imbalanced, but there was a economics, and please nobody quote me on this, but because I just listened to this on NPR the other day. But there was a conference over in Switzerland, I believe, a world economics conference going on over there, where a bunch of the bigwig CEOs and a lot of their customers had a big conference over there, and it was an economic type summit. And this is where a lot of this information is coming from that I'm talking about here. But it sounds, I don't know, I like hearing stories like this when the imbalance is being looked at. You know, but you're never going to be able to fix a problem until you can identify it, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's not like we don't already know this, but getting it out there on the table in front of people is a good thing.
So here's something weird as far as news. I'll cover it really quickly. When I first, before I met you, Tom, in 2007, and I discovered the whole UFO thing, I was looking, just, for kicks, was looking for a motor for a flying saucer. And I had come across a website that supposedly had one, and I contacted the guy, and the guy told me he doesn't accept Earth money, whatever. But then yesterday I went looking for the same website to see if I could find it. I couldn't find it, but then there's a website called Alibaba.com. That name already makes me question it. Mm-hmm. But supposedly they sell, they sell 0-point energy machines. So, yeah, they have like a 0-point energy generator. What's the price on that? It doesn't say. But anyway,
you gotta have a link. You could put a link to this on the website.
Yeah, but please don't buy anything and then say they scam me. Okay, so here's to some real news stuff that I really want to cover. So here's this. This is the most powerful natural antibiotic ever kills any infection in the body. And I'll give you the recipe, which some of you know, like one recipe or two recipe, and probably do it yourself. But this is a combination of things. So it's 24 ounces or 700 milliliters of apple cider vinegar, organic, 1/4 cup of garlic, finely chopped, 1/4 cup of onion, finely chopped, 2 fresh peppers, the hottest you can find. Wear gloves when you clean the peppers. 1/4 cup of ginger, grated, 2 tablespoons of horseradish, grated, 2 tablespoons of turmeric powder, or 2 pieces of turmeric root. And then you mix it all together. You keep the vinegar to the side. Then put the mixture into a mason jar. Pour in the apple cider and fill the jar to the top, about 2/3 of the jar. Close tightly and shake, and then let it sit for 2 weeks. And after 2 weeks, you drain it, and then you can use the excess, for food and stuff like that. You don't have to refrigerate it because the vinegar will protect it from going bad. So there you go, some medicine.
And what kind of a dosage, and how is this administered? Do you drink it?
Usually you want to work up to it because I'm just starting to make it. I'm waiting for the apple cider vinegar because here in Japan I can't just go to the corner store and find it. I have to order everything. So you start with like a small teaspoon because of if you're not used to eating hot stuff and the combination between just the vinegar and the hot peppers, it's gonna be hard to swallow. So, but it says don't dilute it because if you dilute it, then it kind of kills the power of it. And then you work yourself up to a shot. So you want to take it once a day, and when you're sick, you take it 5 to 6 times a day. So there you are, people. We don't have to depend on other things. Actually, you know, what I was doing, the chewing garlic, 1 garlic clove in the morning and 1 in the evening. I did it yesterday morning. I didn't do it today. It's really hard to swallow and chew, but you feel a difference when you do it consistently.
And you know that's so true with so many of these things like this. Is that you know a one-time shot isn't going to do a whole lot for you. You have to actually do it consistently and regularly. Yeah,
so
for it to have any kind of lasting effects.
Here's another one that's really out there. Not that we ever talk about those kind of things here.
No.
We have a serious show, right, Tom?
Professionals.
Yes, we're professionals. Are we? I haven't seen the license yet. Anyway, so time travelers visit himself in the future, recorded on his phone. So this is a YouTube, and I'll put up the link. It's on the Facebook page, but I'll put the link up on the website. So this guy from Holland, in the thing it says Holland, so I'm guessing that's Holland. He goes through a sink. Well, let me start from the beginning. He walks into his house. He sees like water coming out of the sink. So he gets his tools. He opens up. He goes to reach for the pipe. He can't reach it. He keeps going, and then he feels lighter. When he comes out, it doesn't really explain well, but he sees his future himself, and he grabs his phone and he records it. Now you can see the future self, but the way the lighting, I'm a little skeptical only because the lighting, you see the side of his face perfectly, and the profile looks like him, and they both show their tattoo on, I think it's their left forearm, right, Tom?
The right forearm.
Right.
It's on the left as you're looking at it, so it would be his right arm.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah. And the other thing that makes me question it is that there's not that much difference between tattoos. And let me tell you, how old is your tattoo, Tom?
Oh, geez, what, 15 years, 16 years? Something like that.
So supposedly this is 30 years, and it doesn't look faded or anything like that. What did you think, Tom?
Well, you know, that's kind of hard to say with the lighting the way it is in that shot. You know, it could be a 30-year-old tattoo, but yeah, there's a lot of question there. I would need I would like to see the original copy of the original that I could throw into one of my video processors to clean it up some before I could say much about it. I mean, because you can get rid of a lot of that glare and everything if you process that video, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have like an 18-year-old tattoo, and it's pretty faded, and it's on my back where I don't get much sun, so that's on the forearm where most people get lots of sun there. But anyway, I'm not saying it's not possible, because I think it's completely possible. I think Tom might have even traveled once, if it was just a dream for him. But anyway, we have an amazing guest, and this person I haven't had the pleasure of meeting in person, but we've always talked on Facebook and stuff like that, and that's how we found each other. Tom?
We have Reverend Donna Lopez with us tonight. She is a natural spirit channel, medium, teacher, and energy practitioner. She's studied many modalities through the years and has found her connection to spirit to be her greatest source of truth. She resides in San Diego, California, and is married and has owned a salon for 36 years. She teaches classes, workshops. She speaks locally and performs ceremonies, and has been a member of the education committee at Harmony Grove Spiritualist Association, which is a 118-year-old spiritual organization, and has been a teacher at their institute. Over the last 8 years, she's been presented with phenomena through spirit photography, and she's just finished her book, Energetic Transmissions Through Spirit Photography. And I'm going to leave the bio at that. You guys are welcome to read the bio off of her book there. It's on our main page of the website. And her website is www.revdonnalopez.com. And I'd like to give you a big, warm 100th monkey welcome to the show, Donna.
And Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah, it is. I don't know. Interesting. So how are we doing tonight, Donna?
Doing really good.
Yeah, so...
Actually, the first question before we go into how you got into this, how is it, because I can call you a psychic, right?
Sure.
Being a psychic and working with hair, how is that?
Well, that's actually how a lot of, let's just say all my life I've had this, but let's just say I didn't have the reference for it. But when I bought my salon, I was a kid. I was, 19 or 20, I was maybe 20 years old. And that's when things really started to crack open. I started to think a thought, and I would get an answer immediately. I would have people leave me a hardbound book with the next answer to what I had asked. And so that part was kind of freaky. And then, of course, like bartenders and stylists, and barbers probably, people want to tell you their problems, which was I was fine with that. But they would say, well, you're better than my psychiatrist, or I wanted to kill myself till I talked to you. And as a kid, I was like, what are you talking? I just thought, I'm not qualified for this. I don't know what's happening, And so that part was kind of overwhelming, very overwhelming. But, so slowly, gently, I was massaged into place, let's say. And I think I did at one point actually try to kill the messenger. I felt too, I was too sensitive to everything. I would walk in a room and, you could just feel all the energy and the conversations that people didn't mean to have and or to share with me, let's say. And vice versa, if they heard my conversation about them, maybe they'd feel the same. Right. So the sensitivity dial was very high, and I can't say I liked it. It kind of was so emotional and so sensitive to everything, So it's been quite a trek. And so when I decided, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to let's turn this knob back on. I thought it would just come back on like it had been, but it wasn't. It was like my guides were making me work. It was like, no, you had this real easy, and you chose to shut it down. So if you want it, then you show us you want it. And so, tooth and nail, I went back to it.
I resemble that so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. I call it my switch now. I call it my. I use kind of what I call my on-off switch, right? Mm-hmm. So, if I go out into public, I normally have my senses shut down. I just don't want to pull that stuff in because it is, it can be disconcerting when you're out there and you are picking up those things that people would never say. Right? Those things that are going through their minds that they would never say, and they don't really mean, but these random thoughts that they have and emotions that come through, and it can be really disturbing. So it took me, years and years and years to develop my on-off switch, where I'm able to now. It takes a focus now to access, instead of it just being on all the time and just being buffeted by the energy. Yeah.
It's for me now. It's very fluid. It's like I'm just breathing it all the time, and it's okay because I've matured and grown up and emotionally matured, and so But it was quite a process, but it's really useful because when I do get a lot of young people and lay people that are having experiences and they don't understand it, and especially the young people. There's no vocabulary. There is now, but there still isn't.
Right, right.
You know, so it you know, like they say, they take us and they make we draw to us who and what we are, right?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. What would you recommend for a person who's just coming into it, or sometimes, like, you know, there's certain parents have told me, like, my child's a little too sensitive, like, I'll have a thought and then they react to the thought, kind of thing.
Right. You know, it really depends on the child, but very often what I have seen, this reminds me, I used to coach soccer for a while years ago, and everything was good when the kids were young, but as the kids got older, the parents got more involved and wanted to navigate more, right? So then I didn't like coaching. It's the same with this, is that I find that parents are more amped up about their child's ability than the child is, because for the child it's really natural and okay. You know, I don't know that I would try to, like, have the child not pick up my thoughts, but more so say, well, how do you feel about that? You know, just a lot, instead of it being a block,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because it's a block for the parent more so than it would be for the child.
Well, it's kind of like, if you have, like, let's say, somebody did tell me this story, but I'm not going to mention any names, but they were driving and they just had the thought, you know, it's kind of dangerous on the road and, you know, gotta be careful so we don't die on the road, kind of thing. They had a thought to themselves.
Right.
And their kids started reacting to that.
I see.
So that's where it can be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where you say, you know, it's kind of scary. You know, whatever the kid says or they're feeling, just say, I know you're feeling scared and it does feel that way, but you know what? I'm going to put a lot of light around this car and I'm going to call on our helpers to really help us get to where we're going. You know, and
if if the kid's open enough to be able to talk about what he just experienced, or she, right?
Yes, if he or she is just reacting and they don't even know why they're reacting,
Right.
then you know, perhaps you can say, you know, do you know why you're feeling what you're feeling?
Yeah.
They say no, and say, well, you know, you know, all right, well, you know, just know that, you know, I'm doing okay here and that we're going to be okay. And if we need to pull over, we will. And, you know, so, you know, more so just be with it rather than try to not be with it.
Yeah.
Right.
Like everything is okay. Not everything's okay. Not putting a blanket over it. But in other words, don't assume that you understand why or the specifics around it all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a really fascinating topic, the children thing. But before we get too deep, Ramon, let's step back just a minute and
the bio.
And let's lead in and get our a little bit of background on you, Donna. And you know, you said that this stuff was been on for your whole life, the psychic stuff, or how's this developed for you, and what took you this direction?
Well, no, this is part kind of funny, but not really. My mom was really loved psychics. So when I was growing up, my mom loved to go to psychics, and this was more so around. Well, let me go back a little bit. When I was around 7 or 8, I went in. We were visiting family, and I went in the kitchen, and my mom was getting a reading from an aunt. Now she was not an aunt by blood; she was you know, an aunt by marriage. And my mom said, "Get out of here! You can't be in here." Well, you know, of course you want to be in there.
Of course.
And all I remembered her telling my mom was, "Don't get in a red car." So for years after that, I just thought, I hope my mom never gets in a red car because she would have an accident, right? And then around 14 to 16, my mom would go to psychics. And I think it's where my mom is very open and very sensitive. Some people would say, that can come off as kind of high-strung energetically. The nervous system is on overdrive. So I feel like when she went, it helped to ground her, reconnect her to everything being okay, because I do feel that she was also picking up a lot of energy, but she did not have a reference for it either. So if she could give the car keys to somebody else, that gave her some sense of being okay. But from my perspective at 14 to 16 is it just seemed as though she was trying to predict my future. She would find out a little bit. I'm a Virgo. I'm on the cusp, Virgo, Aries, Aquarian. But that's supposed to make it better. But, you're critical. You're a Virgo. You're critical. So it was like, okay, So it's just like a lot of labels. When I was young, she would say, this is Donna. She's my quiet one. So I go, okay. Well, later, I wound up I can be quite a chatty Cathy, but also very shy. But, so that's how, so I really wasn't in resonance with it. Let's put it that way. It just seemed unhealthy, neurotic, and I seemed to feel her a little more off balance than on balance. But now, being older, wiser, I see that for her, it gave her some sense of security. So for me to get involved in this would have been like, no. I mean, I don't think so. But what happened to my father was in the military, and we traveled a lot. We went to Spain and Mississippi, which was kind of like Spain. Because nobody was, it's just a really small town kind of thing. And in Spain, we were a little isolated. But what happened is we went to a lot of different churches, Presbyterian, Baptist in the South, Methodist. So I had a lot of, because my mom, we always went to church. Now, my dad didn't go. So, I was always not really like, wait a minute, he's going to go to hell and we're not, or how's this working? I don't really know. It was just the rules set. And Baptist in the South was pretty heavy. I mean, that's when they were talking the fire and brimstone, and you have to claim Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you'll go to hell. And they would also talk about the end of the world. And I remember thinking, but I just got here.
Right.
And so I did kind of think, well, the year 2000, that would be the date, I guess. And I don't know where I got that, but I think I just picked it. I don't know. But, they gave me the rules of, as long as you claim him as your Lord and Savior at the very end, you're okay. So I thought, all right, chill, I got that down. Party on. So, I just went off. But, so what happened is, I got married, not too young. I was 19 turning 20 though. And, it was a pretty rough relationship. So I was going through some challenges, and my mom said, oh, you need to go see this lady. You need to go see her. So I thought, all right, I'll go. Well, in that relationship, my husband's mother had passed away when he was a younger man, and his father was an alcoholic, and he had a lot of, the repercussions of loss and a violent alcoholic father. And so I used to ask his mother, a lot of questions about what happened. Why weren't you there for him, et cetera? Because I didn't understand that. I didn't have that background. So when I did go to the medium, she brought in her name and answered every question I had asked her. So I thought, wow, okay, that was pretty good. And then she said, you can do this. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, you can do this. I don't know how she brought in religion, but she said, she said, well, I'm a minister. And I said, this is a religion? So all of a sudden, one experience of faith was blending with the other experience of the mediumship or the psychic, and being raised in the faith. My mother would always tell me stories. That she had an incident when she was a younger girl where some older boys had tried to attack her, and she picked them up and threw them over her head. So for me, it was like God is power. Like you can do anything. Like there was just this phenomenal power. And so I really hooked into that. So it was kind of like the two kind of married together. And I thought, well, I don't know about me doing this work. But then all of a sudden, it was like the work started to come to me stronger and stronger, because I did own my salon, and people were beginning to share more than they needed to, without me knowing really how to deal with it. So I started to study a little. I started to ask questions first, and then I started to study, and I would be on and off the path because I wasn't really settled down. And I think there was a part of me, too, that thought I had to be perfect. And then I realized, well, I'd be dead by then.
Right.
Yeah, then you're gonna. So, and then I decided it was time. It was almost like I was pushing against something that was pushing against me. It was like, girl, you're going to do it. This is your path. This is what you have to do. And so then slowly I just started to do, my first experience was going into a healing class with a woman that I just love, because it was actually a class. I thought, all right, I'm going to learn how to be a psychic, and instead she just taught me how to get centered, grounded, how to kind of not necessarily guard my thoughts, but have an awareness around where I was allowing my mind to dwell. And that's still one of my big kind of mantra type things when I teach, because, you have to clear your mind. You have to kind of pay attention to what you're paying attention to.
So important.
Yeah, and just kind of redirect.
Yeah.
So, and I'm asking this for a reason. What's your ethnic background?
I'm Caucasian. My husband's Hispanic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because when you were saying about the psychic thing, it just reminded me of the way my mom, she used to go to psychics, and I remember since I was like 5, going to them. But the funny ones for my mom was that she went to one time, and they said to her, why don't you sit down and start helping people too? So she went for a reading, and they told her to sit down, and she was so pissed off about it. She was like, I go there, help me, and they want me to work. And this happened to her like several times. And I remember I went to a psychic, and when I went, I didn't go with my mom. I think I must have been like 23 or 22. And the psychic, she goes, can you tell your mom to come here to give me a reading one of these days?
Huh?
Oh.
And I was like,
Did the psychic know your mom?
No, this psychic was the psychic of a friend of mine's, and so I had no connection with my mother, but she knew right away. She was like, tell your mom to come give me a reading.
Wow, that's interesting.
Is your mom good with medicine, Ramon? Like herbal medicines and things, or just some of the old remedies?
She's getting better at it. She was really good, and then she let it go for the Western medicine, and then she's getting better at it again. Because now the pressure of her health was, getting on her, so Western medicine wasn't working, so she started going back into it.
Yeah, because I think that's probably more so what they were identifying with for her. She just had that, that natural, she just knew what to do, how to put things together.
Well, she used to read the tarot cards, like, when I was really young. But something happened. One time she was reading the tarot card for a friend of hers, and she got this like really bad chills and shake and from the reading, and then after that she was never able to read again, according to her. But I think she always used that as a crutch.
Yeah, you can't open the door if you're scared, and things will come and visit you to see if you if you're ready.
Right.
Not necessarily can you deal with it. It's all an illusion, not all of it. I mean, it needs our energy to participate. So if you give it energy, it'll give it back. And so, yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, but I never would have opened this door if I thought I'd be afraid. I think I was more afraid of not opening it because I knew it was it was me. You know what I mean? It's just It was a pure, straight funnel of pure connection. So, I mean, I guess there might have been other ways that I might have liked to have hidden out or maybe blended in, sort of, I guess. But I'm pretty balanced. I don't go off too much on talking about things. I let people kind of navigate how a conversation can go.
Yeah.
In terms of opening that door.
So, speaking of opening that door, Tom, any other questions before I change the subject a little bit?
No, go ahead, Ramon. I think we got a good idea of what got her to where she's at now.
Okay. So, Donna, what do you see for 2015?
Yeah, I know we talked a little bit before you started, and I talked a little bit about how I have personally felt the year beginning, which is rather quiet, that a lot of people are reassessing and just getting quiet and reconnecting with nature, with their family, with their roots. There's a lot of that quiet kind of, it's almost as though all the layers of who we are coming back in to revisit and reconnect with us. It's interesting. I really like it. But I did, I thought, well, I'll just do it kind of on the roll when we're here on speaking. But instead, this afternoon, my guides came in really, really strong.
Nice.
Nope, you're going to sit down and we're going to take you in and show you what we want you to share. So I wrote down what I got. The meditation was getting kind of long, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to remember all this stuff if you guys keep going. So this is what they shared with me about this year, was that they showed the earth's chakras being stretched. And the way I saw it stretched, at first I thought, am I seeing like a vortex, or is this a portal? But it's not. It's definitely her chakra. And they said it's her third eye chakra. And I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. I wasn't sure where that location was at, but I did get a P, as if in Peru or something. And I tried to check later because I thought, well, let me just see where that's at. And I guess they don't really have one. They said Glastonbury, I think, is supposedly where but they said it's everywhere. So that is the chakra that's being pulled. And I related it kind of to when somebody's sucking your energy. You'll feel a pull in your stomach. You'll feel that pulling on your chakras, and so
like an energy vampire kind of thing.
Sort of, yes. But then they showed me what I want to describe it as kind of like an astronaut, but not our astronauts. And I have heard of others, terrestrial, extraterrestrial, I like to call them star being type astronauts. He didn't have a helmet or anything, the person that I saw going through, but I knew he was an astronaut coming into this dimension. And so it's as though her energy is being pulled so that these beings can come in. And I thought that was kind of interesting for me, because what I also have been experiencing very I want to say the last couple months is there's been a lot of walk-ins come in around me. I've had it before. And generally when we talk about a walk-in, that would be somebody that, you leave your vessel, your physical vehicle, and a new soul comes in to take over. And that's not quite the experience, but it's also not quite the experience. I've just been meeting people that I know or that I'm talking to, and all of a sudden somebody in the physical comes along and is answering me and looking like them and having the name. I mean, and it's off the hook. The way it's been happening. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is a lot. This is really different. It's like, I feel like it's a little bit of an upgrade for me of them going, okay, we're going to turn this up a little bit. I had it happen, years ago too. About 15 years ago when I lost my brother, I had an incident like that. And So it's been happening in 3s and 4s and lots of people. So that's been interesting. So I don't know specifically if that has anything to do with it, but and I did have that thought pattern.
With the beings that you saw coming in, what did you feel off of them?
It just seemed like an astronaut, like a space being coming in, but it looked like us. It didn't look, it looked like us, just, I don't know. We do hear a lot about the dark side of the moon and space stations out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it did not look like what one might consider an ET or a star being. I like to use the more polite reference, but ET's fine because that is what they like to be called. They came in my book. I know you guys haven't read my book, but at one point I did send you the picture, Ramon. I don't know if Tom got it, but they actually spelled ET out in lights across my fence, which was kind of cool. Yeah, they like to hit me upside the head.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me of an experience I had not too long ago, a couple of days ago, where I was in between awake and asleep, the hypnagogic state.
Yes.
And I'm looking, I see a vision, and I'm seeing someone's room, and I couldn't really make out exactly what the room looked like, but the only thing I remember was like this tub of water, and I think it was like salt water, and you're supposed to like put it up your nose to kind of clear things out. And anyway, like the being was talking to me, and he was like, "Oh, you can sell that," and I was like, "Where are you?" He was like, "Oh, a different dimension," and I was like, "Well, how do I, how can I cross these dimensions?" And I said, "You wouldn't show me this if it wasn't, because it's not possible." So he was like, "You're too green," and then the conversation kind of cut off there. But you're saying that I'm wondering if it's just like realizing that veil is there but not really there, and then just like going through a door,
Yeah, there's no veil. I'm at the point where there's no veil, and it's okay too, because this started really heavy for me in 2006-07, right in there, where a lot of everything started opening up. I mean, everything, and it was outside of what myself as a spiritualist, we do have rule sets about what can come to you and how it can come to you, but we're not too rigid, really. We're pretty open, and but this was outside of that. What was coming forward? I have pictures of like stick beings on my wall, dueling out, and it's like one-dimensional beings, and I would see one-dimensional, like etheric, like a town, like a city, and just everything was opening. It was amazing. So
you mean like a flat city kind of thing, like
yes,
the flat world?
Yes, like if you were to draw something on a piece of paper and put it up.
So that would be two-dimensional, right?
Well, no, not really because it would just be there flat, just flat, no dimension to it, just flat. Just the exterior, say, but you could, well, maybe it was more two-dimensional in that regard, now that I think about it, but it was still pretty much more one-dimensional, but I could see that there were other, like, let's say doorways and windows, but I can't say that I saw through them or into anything, but everything came out of the cookie jar at once. And so it took me a bit to get myself grounded and to kind of figure out, what are you guys showing me, and what does all this mean? And I had a lot of people trying to get me to hurry up and share things, and I wasn't, and lovingly too, I want to say that, because but I knew they were telling me something, and actually my energy was just amped up to such a degree that it wasn't time. It wasn't time, and it was also something kind of precious that you don't want to put something out until you know what you're talking about, or at least you think you know what you're talking about, so, yeah. So anyway,
That's
yeah.
what you got for the 2015 kind of thing.
That was one part. That's one part. Let's see. They showed me. Let's see. What else did they say? Okay. Now, this part was interesting. They said we're accessing many dimensions simultaneously, and I was seeing a Mobius strip. Now, it's really funny because I'm in meditation. I'm like, I don't even know what a Mobius strip is. I better make sure. But I definitely heard it. And it said all timelines are blurred into one. And so I did look up what a Mobius strip is, and it says it's only one-sided with only one boundary component. What I saw was like a black strip of we're older, so we grew up, with the old flicks, right? The home movies, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it was all black, as though all of that was all blended into one. And then I heard Mobius strip. So, and that's kind of the energy that's going on right now that, and maybe, I guess that's just the best way to put that.
Yeah. Like
and
if you, for example, they always say a Mobius strip, like if you follow the universe to the end, you'll just loop around.
There you go.
No matter what direction. So that's it's kind of like the way I saw it described to me. If you take a film and then you give it a small little twist and then make like a figure 8 kind of thing, and when you follow the inside, you'll end up on the outside, and then you'll end up back in the inside.
There you go.
So just to give the people a better explanation.
That's useful. Thank you. You see how spirit works.
So all timelines is a Mobius strip. So no matter which timeline we think we are in, we'll end up in the same place. Is that kind of what
or more so accessing all of them at one time, as if all the Mobius strips are blended of different dimensions. Yeah.
That's weird, combining that with my dream.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then another thing they shared is they said that there's going to be a new body of planets discovered, but not just planets, like a new planetary system. I saw there were a few planets that were somewhat like the ring of Saturn and the ring of Jupiter. There were at least 3 planets like that, and other planets near that I feel like that there's the same
near us.
March.
Near us? Is it like in our solar system?
No, it's a completely different solar system.
Okay, because I got something for you. It's Kepler 186f. It's supposed to be, it's right in the Goldilocks zone, and it's supposed to look, supposedly look like a lot like Earth, meaning being blue and clouds and things like that. I don't know how many continents and that kind of stuff, but yeah.
This was its own separate solar system, but it's going to be talked about and shared this year in March, is what they were saying, around March. Then they shared that there would be a new plant discovered, like a flowering type plant, like a narcissus, which is, I believe that's like a daffodil. But it says that its properties will be a sign of new growth and a reason to be optimistic about our plant life here. And it'll help with our health. And we'll hear about that around August.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. And then they just went on to show me how they said they wanted to let everybody know that Earth is a spaceship, and that she's navigating and rotating. In other words, her poles will not are not going to, the poles will not turn or shift, as they say, as we hear about.
The pole flip, right?
Yeah, the poles will not, but that Earth is a spaceship, and she's navigating, and she's rotating, almost like she has, I want to say, an energetic magnetic ring around her that kind of helps her as she does tilt and move, but she navigates with it. So in other words, but she is an Earth ship, is what they were sharing. Yeah. And then they shared something about I just saw this liquid with gold flakes in it. So I don't know if that's going to be a medicinal thing that'll be around near the end.
Comes out of that plant?
No, this was something separate later. Yeah, something separate.
This that sounds like monatomic gold.
Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, those were the things that they gave me, and so it was kind of cool. I thought, all right, you guys want me to do it right here, but I can do it right here too. If you have something specific you want to know about, I can tap in and see what we can.
Yeah. Well, how's time, Tom? Maybe we could do it in the second hour.
Oh geez, wrong button. We got 10 minutes.
Should we start here, or should we?
Let's hold that over to the next hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to step back just 1 second to something that we started to talk about, and then I cut us off, which we were talking about the children that were coming in and dealing with the abilities coming online for kids, and how us as parents, how we should be reacting and to do the best and highest good for their development. I mean, that's something that obviously it's very important. Our children are our future, right? So, I want to step back to how that point of how we react when a child is coming online and they're starting to express some abilities, and how we actually deal with them. There's a lot of resources out there right now, and I've seen more and more coming up here just in the last 5 years. There's more people that are actually addressing this. Ever since we started seeing, those labels thrown out there, the crystal children, the rainbow kids,
Yes.
all these different labels on the kids, that's brought more focus into how we as parents address and help develop these children in the world that we live in today. So I guess, how do I get a question out of this, Tom? Oh my God.
Well, as you're talking, I can share with you that I don't think it's unlike anything else. It's like we have to have our own lives and not live through our children. And so that's, whether it's, no matter what they're doing. So I think the healthier the parent is with having their own personal identity and not having their self-esteem through their child, or living their life through their child, if they can
vicariously,
if they can start there, that's going to be the most useful. My daughter was raised around the works, so she's very psychic, but she's she's also, for herself, she's 27 now, and she's decided to be a teacher, and so she's early on she started to choose the path that she wanted for herself, and she didn't really understand fully how this was useful or why it was useful at all until she's, I think, gotten older and been out on her own. And she's so intelligent and so strong, physically just driven, that she didn't see the need for anything extra or anything else. But I feel like, and I know that she is starting to shift back into what she just took. She didn't take it for granted. She just, she did take it for granted, maybe. She just thought I think she might have thought, I think both my kids, when they grew up, they just thought, well, that's just common sense, or everybody knows that. And when they got out and started navigating, they realized people don't just know the things that they know. People don't they don't get it. They don't. It's in the old school days, we'd call it common sense, right?
Right. It's actually, they had that all wrong. It's uncommon.
Yes, yes, uncommon sense.
Yeah.
That kind of reminds me of a story I was reading to English students of mine here in Japan, and it was about this 15-year-old kid who he's a programmer, and he decided to make an app, and the app was downloaded over 500,000 times.
Oh my.
Yeah, which it beat Twitter and Vine apps. So it got Google and Facebook's attention, and they're kind of like, fighting over him, that kind of stuff. And what was amazing to me is that one of the person is a programmer, and the other one, they're both programmers, and a little bit different, but they were like, "Oh, this kid's a genius," and blah blah blah. And I was like, I don't know if he's so much because when someone does something amazing, we right away say they're geniuses, and we put them above ourselves. Not
Right.
saying that what they're doing is not amazing; it is amazing, but is when we put them above ourselves as like they can do that because they're really smart and that's why they can do it, but I can't do that kind of thing. And I'm like, I said, the difference between him and the average person? And I gave him a couple of chances to answer, and they really didn't get it. And I was like, fear. I said, would you even try to make an app? I know you can make an app. Would you even try to make an app to sell it out there? And they were like, no. And I was like, see, that's it. I said, you probably know more about programming than he does. And they were like, no. I said, you got 20 years in the business. Of course you know more about him. But he learned as he went. He failed. He messed up. Probably started over again several times. And anyway, with the children, the reason why I brought that up is that a lot of these kids don't have that fear that our generation has.
Ooh, isn't that interesting? I just
Okay,
dropped.
there we go.
I'm holding a
The
stone.
the drop.
Right on, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Or does that mean shut up?
Oh, no, that's confirmation. No, I believe they're in the flow and they don't have all the, you're just in the flow. They're listening. We don't have one lifetime. Actually, we've probably got a bazillion, and we've had a bazillion, but we are here to have a good time. So I just think when the kids are younger, they don't have all those, and it is fear, all the things that stop them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not that belief I can't do that.
Right.
Yeah, which...
Yeah. I want to say, Ramon, about your friend's child, because I want to make sure I answer that correctly. The one that was picking up energy. That kid is actually sensitive to energy in terms of the kid is feeling like will feel a vortex of energy coming in. In other words, the child is getting more of a physically feeling the energy, not hearing thought patterns as much as feeling the energy come in and not understanding what it is. So the child is actually physically having some feelings. So that might be useful if the child is saying, oh, I got dizzy or I just felt something,
I'm laughing because the person listens to the show and they're an older listener of ours, actually one of the first. And so I'm laughing because they're probably listening to this. Oh, it's talking about my child. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
that's good to know.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else on that before we button things up for the first hour here?
Tom, can I borrow $100?
It's in the mail.
Yeah.
So, where can people pick up your book at?
Amazon.com, or there's a couple local bookstores in San Diego, Amethyst Moon in La Mesa, and Controversial Bookstore on University. It's one of the oldest bookstores in San Diego.
What is it called again?
Controversial bookstore.
No,
No,
the book.
The book, Energetic Transmissions Through Spirit Photography.
Very nice. And your website?
www.revdonnalopez.com.
All right. So if you're out there listening to us on one of those other media formats, the YouTubes, the iTunes, the Vimos, the wherever, then I would urge you guys to pop over to www.the100thmonkeyradio.com, and that is all spelled out, by the way. And check out all the, what one, this is episode 229, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, how about that? Those are numbers that are very significant to me, actually. So, episode 229, so that'll tell you there's a lot of freaking hours and hours and hours of conversation.
229 times 2 is
about 456.
56.
Yeah, how about that?
Give and take.
That's a minimum of 456 hours there, plus, oh God, I don't know. We got lots of material out there, guys. So pop on over, check us out, become a member, and support this alternative media that's out there that's trying to spur the 100th monkey. All right, guys, we love you, and we will see you in hour 2. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry.
Namaste.
Gladiators, glowing tubes that mesmerize, netting minds like butterflies, hapless flying in the night like moths misled into a light. Information overload, trust me, then do what you're told. Tell me who you think I am, give me meaning in a can. Just tell me the truth. Process